From its very beginnings, the Churches of Christ story has always been one of unity. At a time when momentum was growing to unite Australia as one federation, Churches of Christ's future leaders were coming together to bring many different churches under one name, Jesus Christ. And so, in the late 1800s, the story of Churches of Christ in Queensland began. Unified under one core driving force, a concern for the well-being of people, the church flourished throughout Queensland, around Australia and overseas. Some of the early leaders that inspired such rapid growth of the church include James Johnson, Carl Fisher, Frederick Troy, Stephen Cheek, D.F. Denham, and notably David Ewers. Like Federation advocates, Churches of Christ leaders leaned on print media, spreading its message via the Australian Christian and the Christian Pioneer publications, of which David Ewers was one of the early well-known editors.
David Ewers was one of our well-known editors of the Australian Christian and the Christian Pioneer. He was a wheelwright and blacksmith by trade, and that made an interesting nickname, Sparks. And when he wrote certain articles, they became Sparks from the Forge. David was one of a number of gifted speakers at that time, which was how the Churches of Christ grew so rapidly in those early days. While David was the driving force in those days, they would all say that it was the spark that came from Jesus in their lives, through his spirit, through his actions, through his works, that they then were able to demonstrate that there is a living God who loves all people.
In 1883, on the 9th of August, the very first executive committee for the purpose of organising future Queensland conferences was held in Frederick Troy's lounge room in his Toowoomba home. Here it was agreed to unite on the intention to act on the words of Jesus. He said, "Go, make disciples of all nations, baptise them in the name of the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit. Teach them everything I've taught you, and be sure of this, I am with you always." This first conference highlighted a shared understanding that if they worked together, the spark that had been lit in their hearts would shine brighter. The work that they had already been doing would now benefit from the organised, coordinated and multi-skilled support that comes from a unified gathering of different minds. The importance of such a partnership was brought into sharp focus for all present at the conference, with the recent passing of their friend, brother and pioneer of Churches of Christ, Stephen Cheek.
On the 14th of February 1883, Stephen was caught in a tropical storm while travelling alone, walking 40 kilometres to Warwick. In the darkness of the storm, he lost his way and spent the night in a deserted hut, soaked to the skin and unable to make a fire. 3 days later, he passed away. This tragedy inspired the conference attendees to keep the momentum of Stephen's passion for preaching the gospel, making disciples and planting churches. Less than 6 months after Stephen's passing, the formation of the first conference cemented a new reality. They would not face the hardships of the vast and rugged outback alone.
Together, these early leaders would be pioneers into the frontier colony. They'd go beyond the extreme limit of settled land to lead the way for a simple Christianity for all of humanity, regardless of race, age, gender or social class. And that spirit of togetherness and unity lives on in the church today.